Money laundering didn't start with Swiss bank accounts or offshore tax havens. The Romans, medieval churches, and entire kingdoms were already doing it thousands of years ago. We like to imagine ancient civilizations were too primitive to hide dirty money. In reality, some of their methods were so effective, criminals still use versions of them today. From coin clipping inside the Roman Empire to fake religious pilgrimages in the Middle Ages, to the birth of shell companies during the colonial era, every civilization invented its own way to make illegal wealth look legitimate. And it was often far more sophisticated than just buying a car wash. But the deeper I researched this hidden financial history, the more disturbing the pattern became. Because once you see how every era cleaned dirty money, you start realizing money laundering wasn't just a side effect of civilization. It may have been one of the hidden engines quietly powering civilization the entire time. Ancient Rome. You're a senator in Constantinople, year 330 AD. You have status, political influence, land privileges, but no real salary. Sure, the emperor might throw you the occasional gift, but if you wanted real wealth, you had to find it yourself. And in Rome, political power without wealth was dangerous. Since senators and elites are forbidden from openly engaging in commerce, you relied on a variety of proxy methods to legitimize and invest your money. To join the 1%, you had options: tax evasion, political bribery, fake trade deals, smuggling networks, even organized theft. It sounds simple, but running a criminal operation openly was incredibly risky. The last thing you wanted was your name connected to a den of thieves. So wealthy Romans used proxies and nominees instead. Trusted clients, duped family members, or freed slaves who acted as a front, moved money on their behalf, and took the public risk if authorities started asking questions. Now you're hidden, insulated from political backlash and legal action while still collecting the profits. You task your network with moving stolen goods through Alexandria, a rich intellectual and commercial center where contraband could disappear into Mediterranean trade networks. Your men want to go for trinkets and jewelry, but you're thinking bigger. You tell them to go for art. Not just any art, though. Bronze statues. Original Greek bronzes could fetch absurd fortunes from wealthy Roman collectors, roughly equivalent to tens of millions today. Still trying not to draw attention, you disperse the loot through extensive unsanctioned networks into Italy, Spain, and Greece. However, this is one of many precautions you must take. This is where Rome's shadow banking system comes in. Rome had a remarkably sophisticated financial network. Elites utilized private bankers called argentari. They arranged loans, moved debts, transferred wealth across provinces, and helped move money without large amounts of physical cash ever changing hands. You and your ring are now rich enough to basically chill until you die. The Roman dream. But you're not as satisfied as the others because you already had that. Now you use your political connections to become a publicani, a Roman tax contractor who would collect taxes for Rome. Tax collection contracts were auctioned off by the state, and oversight was minimal once you won one, so naturally you extort the provinces far beyond what was legal. After a year, you have real Roman wealth, but you can't do anything with it. So you buy land under other names, convert cash into assets like villas, ships, and grain. Not for your own use, obviously, but you could rent or sell them easily. Roman officials discovered the easiest way to hide stolen money was to turn it into legitimate business wealth. Starting to sound familiar? The Dark Ages. It's the year 1300, and now you're just a broke merchant somewhere in medieval Europe. Europe is deeply religious, cash is harder to move openly, and the church controls enormous amounts of wealth. But soon you and other grifters quickly discover something interesting. Pilgrims, churches, and religious travelers attract almost no suspicion. Good thing this doesn't happen anymore. Am I right? You could spend years becoming a knight and fighting wars for some king, but that sounds like a lot of work and kind of dangerous. So screw that, you don't have any morals anyway. You export a lot of your goods across medieval borders with disgusting tariffs, keeping you poor, so fake pilgrimage it is. You go to the local parish and learn that genuine pilgrims often enjoyed exemptions from certain tolls and taxes, along with certain legal immunities. So you throw on a cloak, pick a staff, and load up your group's cart with some of your products to bypass these costs and move goods without paying duties. Now you weren't just Catholic LARPing. The day before you embark, you get an even brighter idea. Fake relics. You manufacture replicas, steal bones, and claim they're holy artifacts capable of attracting pilgrims, donations, and attention along the journey. Back home, you were paying 5 shillings per month on rent and forced labor just to survive. But now your group of Fugazi pilgrims lives almost entirely off monastery hospitality and mandatory church charity, essentially living for free. You've essentially discovered a medieval infinite money glitch. Soon, pretending to be pilgrims isn't enough anymore, so you decide to settle permanently. Someone points out how much better the weather is outside of the castle, so you decide to stake a claim to a holy site. You discreetly pay monks to forge documents legitimizing your claim to the land, something surprisingly common in medieval Europe, justifying these white lies as being for the greater good of their holy sites. Now you have free land, but there's one problem. Rumors spread that your shady preachings are being investigated back home. Fearing what will happen were you to return, the group erects a church on the land. With this church, you play your ace up your sleeve. Indulgences. Acting as a priest, you tell terrified peasants they can reduce their time in purgatory for a price. You sell indulgences, certificates claiming to reduce punishment for sins. You're no longer selling goods, but selling the idea of salvation itself. What started as simple tax evasion has now snowballed into a multi-level religious racket, funding a far better life than honest work ever could. But eventually, laundering money stopped being something hidden in the shadows of churches and empires. Europe was about to accidentally invent something far more powerful: the corporation. As global trade exploded during the colonial era, dirty money no longer had to hide inside fake relics or stolen statues. Now it could disappear into shipping companies, overseas colonies, and entire governments whose economies depended on moving wealth around the planet. And for the first time in history, laundering money wasn't just corruption anymore. It was becoming official business. Colonial era. You wake up on a boat, there's already a meeting happening in the brig, and not just any meeting. The captain feels like committing a little trade manipulation that morning. A few merchants and officials are already manipulating shipping documents to move value across borders down below. You over-invoice some cargo, under-invoice the rest to justify the transfer of excess funds or hide profits from authorities. Now y'all need a fancy name for this scheme. You go with the informal value transfer system. These systems relied on a code of honor rather than formal bank records, making them nearly untraceable. And naturally, colonial expansion attracts pirates, so at noon, you meet with a crew that often sells stolen treasure to the legitimate merchants and governors aboard. Stolen treasure is a death sentence if you're caught, so you melt it down, convert it into jewels, gold, artwork, anything portable enough to transport and resell somewhere else to reset the asset's history. Your contract states you must be on this boat for the next year, so you're rich but still have to go to work every day. The ultimate golden handcuffs. So at your next stop, you start purchasing estates and funding plantations, which provide a legal front for future income from your other methods. But good things, quote unquote, don't last forever. Smuggling routes got exposed, pirates started getting hanged, and trade records were starting to be traced back to real people. So the colonial scoundrels come up with a final solution: ownership without responsibility. Instead of hiding dirty money behind fake pilgrims or stolen cargo, they started hiding it behind businesses that barely existed at all. On paper, these companies looked completely legitimate: shipping firms, trading houses, overseas investment ventures. The shell corporation had arrived, and suddenly, laundering money no longer required secrecy. You could now hide corruption inside the legal structure of business itself. Man, these guys would have loved insider trading. But eventually the world got smaller. Steam engines replaced pirate ships. Corporations became multinational conglomerates. Banks started talking to governments. Governments started protecting corporations. And dirty money no longer needed to cross oceans hidden beneath crates of sugar or silver. It could now move across the planet by the click of a button in seconds. By the 20th century, laundering money no longer looked like medieval corruption or colonial smuggling. It looked like normal finance. Swiss bank accounts, offshore tax havens, anonymous shell companies, casino cash-outs, luxury real estate, entire skyscrapers filled with people whose full-time job was creating enough paperwork to make billions of dollars look legitimate. And after thousands of years of evolution, civilization had finally perfected the art of hiding dirty money. Modern era. You made it. It's now the late 20th century, and you're finally respectable. No pirate crews, no fake relics, no smuggling carts. You're a hedge fund manager on Wall Street, and honestly, crime has become exhausting. Governments communicate with each other now. Transactions are recorded. Borders are monitored. Every phone call, transfer, and bank account leaves a trail, and any wrongdoing can and will be used against you. So you decide something revolutionary: no more breaking laws, at least not directly. You have an epiphany during a Skype call with your business partners in China, who say they love gambling. The plan is simple. Crime syndicates would provide wealthy Chinese gamblers with cash in Canada to bypass strict Chinese currency export controls. Next, you instruct the gamblers to buy casino chips in high roller rooms with duffel bags packed with $20 bills, make minimal bets, and cash out the chips to receive clean, traceable casino checks. And of course, someone eventually catches on, but hilariously, the gaming board doesn't seem to mind since everyone's winning. This actually happened back in 2018, when an estimated $700 million to $2 billion was laundered at the River Rock Casino and Resort. The scandal sparked a massive public inquiry known as the Colon Commission. The review found that the British Columbia Lottery Corporation and top government ministers largely ignored glaring warnings of organized crime infiltrating the gaming floor. This is what I find so scary. For thousands of years, every civilization kept inventing new ways to hide dirty money. Rome used political influence. Medieval Europe used religion. Colonial empires used corporations. Modern society pretty much combined all of them together. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you. If you'd like to learn about more overpowered money loopholes from history, check out my video right up here. Remember to smash that like and subscribe button, as not only would I appreciate it, but it would also help out a ton.